Hello and welcome to Wednesday Live with Evie. This is live number 84, and today's topic is just start. So if you don't know me, my name is Evie Burke. I work with women entrepreneurs and I help them take their productivity to a new level. So at the end of the day, they don't have to worry about what didn't get done today or, oh, what's going on tomorrow? But instead, they can just be with the people that they spend their off hours with and not have to worry about all that stuff. So, like I said, today's topic is just start. And if you see me look down, today I wrote my notes out like the old-fashioned way on a piece of paper. So that's what I'm doing if I'm looking down, is I'm looking at my notes. So I picked this topic for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons is since I had my break-in lives earlier this month, late last month, I really have had a hard time getting back into it. I really had a flow going. I really had a rhythm that I was in with getting these lives created and picking the topics and sending emails and all of that. I had my rhythm down. And then when I stopped because family things came up, other priorities, it was important to be available for other things, it interrupted that rhythm. And the only reason that I have been doing the lives the last couple of weeks is I've just decided, you know what, Wednesday I'm going to go live, and whether or not the things that normally happen before the live happen, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to start again. And that's what I've done. And I share this with you because sometimes we get so caught up in how we think things should be done, or wanting them to be perfect, or wanting to have like every single duck in a row and, you know, perfectly coiffed, and it just doesn't always happen that way. So I was thinking about other things where sometimes it's important to just get started, and I was realizing that there are, you know, sometimes some really great pieces of advice that just don't work for everybody. And if you've heard me talk before, you've been here for a while, I'm real big on looking at advice and really figuring out what works for you and how you do things. And so the advice I see out there is around things like blogs, podcasts, lives like this, or, you know, just any number of things where they say, you know, that some advice that you might hear is, before you start a blog, you know, make sure that you have a month of content or X number of articles already written to make sure that this is really something you want to do. Or for podcasts, you know, have a month worth or 2 weeks worth or whatever worth of podcasts recorded, so, you know, you already have them in the bag for you going forward. Before you go live, you know, have your notes written out for 2 or 3 lives or videos or whatever beforehand, right? So have X amount of content done before you actually release the content to the world. And you can see the same thing with programs, where some people will say, you know, have your program completely all mapped out and the content written before you offer that program to anyone. And a lot of times for us, I know for me, that advice would be why I wouldn't do something, because I am deadline driven. I need those outside deadlines to make things happen. So if I know, or I have a perception that people are expecting an email from me by Tuesday at this time, or, you know, whatever it might be, then I'm going to make sure it gets done. I'm going to come up with a topic and figure out the details for it and put it out there for people, right? Because I've gave that deadline to myself, or I've given that deadline to myself. If when I was writing blog posts for a really long time, I was pretty dang consistent with the newsletter and getting those blog posts out, because I think at the time I was sending them out on Thursday, and I thought by the end of the day Thursday, people are expecting to hear from me. And it was how I got things out there. And if I would have waited until I had like X number of blogs written before I went and published the first one, I would have never done it. So a lot of times in our business and anything, it's about just starting exactly where you are, just starting and just noticing what works and what doesn't work. You know, it's the whole reason why the Unnamed Productivity Club is the Unnamed Productivity Club, right? Because I could have spent, and my inclination was to sit down and spend all of this time figuring the perfect name for the productivity club that I wanted to start, right? And I did lose probably or spend a day or two trying to think about what do I want to call this? What's a good name for it? Before realizing I was losing a lot of time on something that I could figure out later. And in the meantime, I was using it to hold me back from going out and sharing this club, this idea, this way I could help people. I wasn't out there helping people with this because I was so busy trying to get all of the details on the back end figured out first. And yes, there were some details that needed to be figured out on the back end, but it was more important to get it out there than to figure out the perfect name. And as it turns out, Unnamed Productivity Club is a pretty good name for it, because it shows that, you know, I do that. I put things out there and work with it and share it with people, and then figure out, you know, some of those other details, but making sure that people are getting quality and what they paid for or what they expect, you know, at the same time, you know, not just throwing something out there and then figuring absolutely everything out. There are some things you have to figure out. So I share this just to give you that push, give you that permission. Whatever it is that you're thinking of starting and you're not starting it because of whatever your reason is, just start getting it out there. Because what you'll find is when you start getting it out there without spending a bunch of time to make it perfect, is it's so much easier to tweak it so that it does become that perfect thing, even if it doesn't start as that perfect thing, right? So go get started. I would love to know also what it is you're starting. So what is it that you're waiting for the perfect time or the perfect name or, you know, X amount of content before you start that you just want to get out there? Share in the comments, private message me. I would love to know what those are. And that's all I have for you today. So until next week, much love. Bye.